Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to beautiful Austria, and welcome to the endless hairpins that we face here in Austria and around Europe. And if you're touring on your motorcycle from the UK and you're coming to Europe, whether it be Italy, Austria or Germany, Switzerland, you're going to be faced with countless hairpins like this, which is why we're going to give you a bit of a lowdown and a guide to taking corners like this, which we don't normally get in the UK. So for me, there's kind of like three hairpins that we get here in Austria and in the Alps in this area. You've got very steep downhill, very steep uphill, and quite flat hairpins.
Hairpin turns are especially challenging when going uphill or downhill. You need balance, clutch control, and a good eye, and above all, proper body positioning. Many struggle with them because they've never practiced slow turning. Also important, you can practice hairpin turns at home, for example in a parking lot by doing U-turns across two parking spaces. This helps you develop a feel for tight turning radii and teaches you how to keep the bike under control. When it comes to the bike, sport bikes with low handlebars are at a disadvantage here. Adventure bikes or scooters are often much easier to handle in tight hairpins. And last but not least, good tyres with a wide temperature range and grip at low speeds are a must. Just as important, plan your route carefully. Be aware of difficult sections and start early to avoid traffic. Some of the biggest challenges include poor road conditions, steep inclines and narrow lanes. That's why it's crucial to choose your line deliberately, turn your head well into the corner and enter from the outside whenever possible. This increases the turning radius and makes the bike more stable.
When you're on a hairpin like this, you cannot actually see the exit on the entry. So you've got no idea what's coming around that hairpin. You've got no idea how it tightens, how it opens up, what the grip level's like. And here in Europe, you've got no idea if there's a bus coming round that's going to take both lanes when it comes sweeping round the hairpin. So be prepared for anything if you can't see around it. However, in some of the passes that you have here in Austria, Switzerland, and in the Alps, in Italy, even in Spain and France, you can sometimes see visually across the hairpin to see what is coming up or going downhill through the hairpin. So its first key thing is all about that vision, is looking through the corner. Not to be looking at the dash, not to be looking at the front wheel, but to be looking as far around as possible as where you can see what is coming around the hairpin, what any dangers there are, and how you're going to attack the corner.
We can fully turn our heads left and right, which means that for a corner with more than 90 degrees, we can easily manage it with a normal head movement. On switchbacks or even tighter corners with more than 120 degrees, and I push my left shoulder forward for a right corner, so I can look further with my head movement. There is a limit in our spine, of course, and this prevents me from turning my head more than 90 degrees, basically looking over my shoulder. Thus, I just pull my corresponding shoulder back. For a left corner, my right shoulder.
Secondly, if you're coming downhill, it's very steep downhill. So as you let off the brakes, the bike will pick up speed, which means you accelerate in towards the apex, which is not what you want to be doing, because then you end up braking mid-corner to slow the bike and try and control the speed. Quite often, if you're touring in Europe, you'll be on something reasonably heavy, fully loaded, and the heavier the bike, the more it'll pick up speed into the hairpin if you're coming downhill. So scrub off all that speed, choose a lower gear, get that engine braking, get the bike under control before you've made any commitment to the hairpin. Vice versa, if it's steep and uphill, you don't want to be in a high gear and have a sluggish off the bottom end feel when you come out the corner. So get the gear right before the hairpin, use vision, look where you're going, see what's coming, see if there's any potential dangers, how far can you look through the hairpin. At the apex, which is the midpoint of the hairpin, loads and loads of riders, and I see this all the time, make that the tightest point. So at the apex, they're actually leant over the wrong side of the road. The bike might be on the correct side, but their body is on the wrong side. All it takes is for a large vehicle to come round that hairpin, and obviously you've got an impact there. So as you approach the hairpin, come in far, far deeper. Go in really deep to the hairpin. Make it tighter, but it opens up the exit. So the common mistake is for lots of people to have big lean right on the apex, pegs almost on the ground, body leaning so much it's on the wrong side of the road. That's not what we want to be doing. We want to be squaring off the hairpin. So going into it a little bit deeper, making it tighter, but then making the turn less. So we're not on the side of the tyre for the whole duration of the hairpin. We're not taking big risks and asking a lot from the bike. Go in deep, look through the hairpin, see up the hill or down the hill, turn the bike and then start to accelerate on the exit.
We also have asphalt here in Austria, which is very old and worn out by cars, and you can very well recognize it with practice. I can recognize if the asphalt is new or old, which is integral. Thus, I can deduce if grip is rather good or bad, especially when it's wet. Old asphalt, you could say, is mostly bright. The brighter it is, the more I can assume it is old. It only gets problematic on mountain roads, Pre-Alps, Vienna Forest, when the asphalt types intermix a lot. This means an old asphalt with a lot of fixed patches. Now you can imagine if you have to do an emergency braking on it, what kind of workload that is for the technology. If one area is really grippy because it has been fixed, then a slippery patch and so on. Here you can also recognise gaps in the quality of the different ABS brakes.
But the key thing for me is all about that vision. Looking around the corner, seeing what's happening, seeing what potential dangers are coming. Taking your time, getting the right gear, getting the braking, get everything done before you've committed to the corner. Roads like this is why we come to Europe, but it's quite often where we can make the mistakes, especially for us UK guys who are not used to riding in Europe. It's all about looking through the corner. We want to be seeing the exit. Don't make any commitments or accelerate until you can see the exit. So often there's dangers lurking around that hairpin. If you can see through the hairpin, it gives you a lot more confidence. It gives you more safety. It gives you more reassurance. So use your head, turn your body, look through the corner. How far can you see round the corner? And again, try not to be hanging off the bike mid-corner so your body is on the wrong side of the road. Once you're through the hairpin and you can see the exit, start to accelerate progressively and enjoy the next corner. Roads like this are just epic when you get them right, but it is easy to make a mistake. We hope you've enjoyed our little guide to hairpins here in Austria. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one, and hopefully you'll be enjoying some touring in Europe this summer.